Hello, my name's Aggie and welcome back to my channel. Now, along with my morbid fascination when it comes to police body cam, I also have a bit of a morbid fascination in watching videos about cave divers, shark attacks, and all those other lovely outdoor activities other people, not me, do. And one attack that always sticks in my mind is the shark attack of a gentleman called Simon Nellist, I think it was. And I just thought I'd like to cover this today because it was the footage. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the footage was horrifying. But also, I just get fascinated by people who end up in these situations. So I've got a few thoughts and I'm going to talk around them today. Some of the video that I'm going to react to is from a channel called When Animals Attack, and I highly suggest that you go over there if you're interested, should I say, in such things. Check their channel out, give them a like and a subscribe, and I will link them in the description below. So let's have a look at what happened to poor Simon, shall we?
Simon always loved the outdoors, and now that he was living just a few kilometers away from the bay, this was more...
Sorry to pause so early, but how many of these stories start with David loved the outdoors, Simon loved the outdoors? It's just outdoors, see? You're just asking for trouble. Stay at home, stay in the house. It's safe.
Certainly an opportunity that he wasn't going to let go to waste. Shortly after moving into his new home, Simon would sign up to a local swimming race called the Malabar Magic Ocean Swim, which was set to take place on the 20th of February, 2022.
See, you're already in trouble. Exercise and outdoors. You're asking for trouble.
And since he lived so close to the bay, Simon would go for a swim for at least half an hour each day in preparation for the event. On the warm Wednesday evening of February the 16th, Simon dons his black wetsuit and sets out to the shoreline of Buchan Point, a small peninsula of Little Bay that, due to its rocky and uncomfortable seabed, is rarely used by other swimmers, allowing Simon to finish it.
Okay, now, again, I mean, no disrespect, but you're going swimming in Australia. Yeah, I think it's Sydney, this place is in. You're going swimming in the evening in Australia, dressed up in a full black suit, so you look like a seal. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it there and I'm gonna try and pick my words carefully because I don't want to come across like an asshole. And I mean absolutely no disrespect to the family and that of this man. But the red flags for me are you're going swimming in the evening. My understanding is that all the critters in the ocean are a lot more hungry in the evening. I may be wrong, please correct me if I am. You are in Australia, a place well known where everything is trying to kill you or eat you. Beautiful, beautiful place. The people there are fantastic, but it's well known that it's a dangerous place everywhere. And you're going to dress up in an outfit, a black wetsuit, whereby anything else in the ocean, you look like a seal. And I'm like, even as a lazy bitch like I am, I'm a homebody. I like going out for walks. I'll potter in the woodlands. I'll enjoy, those kind of things. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not running, jumping, climbing trees. That's just not me. Unless I'm being chased by something with a huge amount of teeth, you're not going to see me moving at any real speed through anything in the outdoors, So even as somebody who is, as I am, I can think about this situation and think, red flag, red flag, red flag, bad idea. I mean, and again, I don't know a huge amount about the ocean, apart from the fact that it scares the shit out of me. But I do know that great whites and sharks, especially great whites, tend to attack from beneath. So they tend to be down quite far and then they'll look up, and you swimming across the surface in your black outfit are going to look very much like lunch. And I don't know if there's like other colors that people can wear that are maybe not so similar to other types of prey. I don't know. Again, correct me if I'm talking nonsense in the comments, but for me, just red flag. I can't even speak. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Simon, no.
Laps, uninterrupted. As he takes his first steps into the warm water of the lagoon, he observes several fishermen casting their lines off the stone above him, and so does his best to...
And he notices fishermen on the rocks beside him. And what do fishermen do? They throw bait into the sea by the rocks. Bait is designed to attract fish. And it's not just going to attract one type of fish, it's going to attract all the fish that eat the fish that eat the fish that are coming for the bait. And at no point do you look up and see, no, this is not a good place for me to be. Oh gosh.
Avoid being hit by their hooks as he continues to advance with each stroke.
So he was so close that he had to go out a little bit further to avoid being hit by their hooks. You are literally swimming through fishermen's bait. And if any of you have seen the video, you know how close he was, because the poor fisherman saw everything, and then one of them began filming because obviously he couldn't believe what he was seeing in front of him. But you're swimming through fisherman's bait in Australia. Oh.
Further and further away from the beach. After swimming out against a strong breeze pushing him back towards the beach, Simon comes...
See, even nature was trying to push you back towards the beach. Even, like, the wind was like, mate, no, go. The sand is safe. Actually, I don't know how safe the sand is in Australia. I don't know what critters might be living in the sand because I'm a wimp. But even the wind was like, go back, trying to make it hard for him to go where he was determined to go.
Will halt about 150 meters away from the shore, which is when, as he usually would, he'd start practicing his familiar strokes, sinking into a deep trance as he repeats the same motions he always had for years.
Oh.
An estimated 15-foot-long great white suddenly emerges from the depths.
15-foot great white. My bum cheeks clenched just at that combination of words. Because these things are just monstrous. Beautiful creatures, but monstrous. And it's one of these things that I think that we can't really appreciate, because we've been the top of the food chain to a point for so many years, that when you go into like situations like when somebody like plops you in the ocean, that you go from being like reasonably safe and secure to pretty low down the food chain if something like that decides to take an interest in you. And oh god.
Of the crystal blue water. It's important to note that sharks have an exceptional hearing ability that allows them to find prey before being detected, and they do this with their supreme ability to sense low-frequency vibrations in the water, such as the ones made by a wounded fish.
Ugh.
The shark then continues to move closer towards the shore of the rocky lagoon, while simultaneously searching for any movements. And as Simon continues practicing his strokes, with his back facing the open ocean, his vibrations on the surface...
They tell you in a lot of situations not to have your back towards, I don't know, an open door in some situations, let alone your back towards the entire ocean. Because I can't stress this enough, I am a wimp. The ocean terrifies me more than anything. The thought of being like that far out into the ocean, no matter which area I'm in, and not being able to see below me or around me, and just literally just being feeling like literally a sitting duck, is just the most horrific fear. And some people, they just don't care, or you know, or they love it. And again, each to their own. Everybody's different, and that's what makes this world so fascinating. But just when I think about it, oh.
The water are unknowingly attracting this great white. As it closes in on Simon's location, it quickly spots a large figure moving through each wave, which is when it begins zeroing in on him. When great whites prey on the surface of the ocean, they do so by breaching the water and launching themselves into the air with their jaws wide open, allowing its prey to fall deep into its mouth so they can clamp down.
I mean, look at that shit. Look at that shit. If you have ever seen that specific piece of footage or anything like that footage, how in God's name can you justify ever going in the ocean again, especially not in Australia? How? Because when I go into the ocean, no matter where it is, even if I'm going for a paddle, you know, I'm just going for a paddle down some local little beach in the UK. Do you know what's going through my mind? That fucking piece of image. Don't know why. Ugh.
Secure their grip. This in turn, of course, causes devastating damage to the vital organs of its unfortunate victims. In fact, these ancient super predators are known for their ability to breach the surface of the water, leaping up to 10 feet in the air. This behavior is often seen as a predatory hunting technique or as a form of communication, and even today scientists still do not fully understand the reason for this behavior, whereas some theories suggest...
Well, I'm trying to think again and not be too mean, because I do think sharks are beautiful things, right? I can appreciate them from the safety of my sofa, but maybe they just got that bit of style. They're like, do you know what? That thing right up there, I'm going to fuck that up. I'm hungry. There's that thing that's up there going across the surface. I'm going to fuck it up, and I'm going to do it in style. So do you know what? I'm going to turn myself, and I'm going to, you know, swim, and pump into the air. Immense clearance, style, and then pump down. Perfect landing. And you got dinner. Maybe?
breaching helps the sharks dislodge parasites from their skin. Others suggest that it may be a way for them to intimidate rivals or even attract mates. The great white is now only a few meters.
See? Attract mates. Told you. It's just, you know, style, showing off. They're like, oof. Not only do I look like some hot shit zipping out of the flipping ocean, not only do I now have dinner for you, my love, in my chompers, but I'm now going to land back in and be like, hey, baby, you hungry? You know?
Away from an oblivious Simon, and just as he changes direction while he's swimming, the colossal 1,000-kilogram great white breaches through the surface of the water underneath Simon, forcefully launching him high up in the air as the shark clamps down on his torso, causing severe damage to his internal organs and limbs. The shark then crashes down into the water, causing an immensely loud noise that alerts everyone in the nearby area.
Can you imagine being the poor fisherman that's standing on the rocks? They're literally just like standing there. You know, it's according to this story, it's in the early evening, so it's not dark yet. It's still, you know, because I believe it's summertime, so it's still sunny out. And they're just, you know, trying to do a relaxing bit of fishing, chilling out. You see this swimmer out there and you're like, oh, okay, maybe don't pay it too much mind. Next thing you know, a 15-foot or whatever the gentleman said, great white comes shooting up from the ocean, takes this poor man in its chompers, launches him up into the air, and then crashes down like a car falling off a cliff. And you're just there like, what? Can you imagine? I mean, those poor fishermen. I mean, obviously poor Simon, because, you know, he lost his life. But to see that image would play over and over and over in my mind. I just, oh my gosh.
It's at this point that the water around Simon begins turning blood red, as he desperately attempts to swim away from the shark with the little remaining power that he had left. He then somehow manages to free himself from the immense grip of the shark, and for a very brief moment, he attempts to swim away from it desperately with all that he had left in him. The fishermen on
You
the
don't got a
beach,
chance.
who at this point are frozen in shock from what they're witnessing, look on in horror as a shark once again latches onto him and begins violently shaking him from side to side, sending large splashes of bloody water and flesh across the lagoon, visibly ripping entire limbs off of Simon's body and mortally wounding him in the process.
Well, from the footage, now, from what I saw of the footage, it wasn't like that there was a beach full of people that were standing there watching and able to see what was going on. It looked like he was swimming just off the end of a rocky peninsula where the fishermen were. So the only real people that saw what was happening were the fishermen and the people kind of like behind the fishermen on the rocks. And from what it looked like, I don't know about him swimming away. The impression I got from the people that spoke about it was that the shark came up under him, took him in his mouth, and kind of dropped back down, then went back quickly, and then ended up not ripping limbs off as such, but shaking him so that he kind of broke into two. And the images, the video that you see, you can see one half of him floating on one part and another half of him floating on another part of the sea, and obviously the red around. And then the fisherman is obviously still highly shocked and kind of just, you can just hear it in his voice, the poor man. And then the shark pretty much comes along, takes one part of him, then you see that there's another part of him still there, and within a matter of minutes the other part of him's gone, and that was it. It was over. And it's so sad, because for his partner, for his family, for everybody that was obviously linked to this man. But for me, I just look at the amount of things and I just think, why were you there? You know, why? Just, I don't know. Am I mad? Am I mad and just being an asshole? Because it is possible. I can be a bit of an asshole, and my opinion isn't always right. You know, it's literally just that. It's my opinion. But I look at all these things, and especially being serious now, the nature of certain places in the world and the kind of predators that are out there. The fact that predators, they're not going after you because you're a human. They're going after you because they think you're food. And if you're dressed in a certain way at a certain time of day, and like with the fishermen being on the rocks and things like that, and obviously having that knowledge that, you know, with fishermen being there and throwing things into the sea, it's going to attract all different types of things. I just why were you there? Just, oh, there could have been other ways to practice, but there we are.
Some of the fishermen suddenly break out at this point from their paralyzed state and signal for help to the lifeguards who are on a nearby beach. One of the eyewitnesses would then pull out his phone and begin reporting the now infamous video.
Yeah.
And while a majority of shark attacks haven't been caught on camera, this video perfectly
Is he gonna
encapsulates
show
just
it?
how terrifying the experience would be for anyone unfortunate enough to experience
Are you going to show it?
And just as the seconds of the attack seem to turn to hours for those watching on, the shark finally disappears at this point below the surface.
He's not going to show it, which is a good thing, because I do believe with stuff like that, you should only ever see stuff like that if you are fully understanding what it is you're about to watch. You know, I don't agree with when you go on certain pages and certain, I don't know, social media apps, and you could be scrolling looking for just anything, and then all of a sudden you see something which is really quite horrific, and it's unconsenting horror, if that makes sense. That's probably not the best way to put it, but if you search something out and you know what you're looking for, you're kind of prepared for it. Whereas if you just happen to come across it, I don't think that that should happen. And the videos that I've seen of this, I was actually going through a bit of a rabbit hole of looking at animal attacks and stuff like that. Not because I am warped in any way, I don't think, but because I find it so interesting to see how people end up in certain situations, like, and what led somebody to get to that point where they were in that situation. And of course, granted, I always hope that the person's going to make it out, but when they don't, it's just really kind of looking at it and being like, well, like with this scenario, there are so many things, in my opinion, that just red flags that were just not, you know, just, oh my God. I feel like such an arsehole. I feel like such an arsehole. But anyway, like I've told you, my view of the sea, it's monster soup. That's all it is. It's monster soup. You know, I might dip my toes in here, there, or whatever, but you're not going to see me swimming out any sort of great distance at all, because I cannot bear the idea of things being around. Nope. You know what I mean. But this is a very sad story. It's a particularly horrific story in the sense of obviously how he went. But I just do think that even somebody like me could look at certain elements of that and see that something bad could potentially happen. And in this case, it did happen to him. And it's an awful thing. And I hope his family finds some sort of healing, because I can't remember how many years ago this was. If we want to go into the ocean, we need to have a responsibility that we understand that when we walk in there or swim in there or anything like that, that we're entering a whole different domain, and that there are going to be things out there that are going to potentially look at us as food, and you need to do your absolute best to keep yourself safe. And they do tend to rate shark attacks as provoked or unprovoked. And I think that the outcome of those decisions are influence kind of what action they take in relation to the shark. And I mean, for this one, you know, they could look at the fact of how far out he was, where he was, the the fisherman, and just see that this great white obviously mistook him for potentially some other sort of creature and wasn't deliberately trying to prey on something. It was just mistaken identity, and that's what caused the issue. Whereas I think sometimes you have other situations with sharks where they may be specifically attacking humans. Most of the time when they do that, I believe it's because there is a shortage or there's been an impact in their normal food source. So even though they've started attacking humans, they're not doing it because they love the taste of man flesh. They're doing it because there's been a problem somewhere else, and they have to look on how they want to deal with it. And because I've got nothing against sharks, in the sense of, sharks, you stay in the ocean, go about your business, enjoy yourself, swim, do what other sharky things you need to do. I'm going to stay here on the land. I'm going to appreciate that you are a killing machine, but you also probably have a bit of a soft side that none of us are aware of. But you stay there, I'll stay here, and we just don't need to interact ever. And that's the way I hope to keep it for the rest of my days on this earth. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed my video, and I'll see you again. Bye.